Welcome to Ear for Fear. I'm Rick, and this is the podcast that talks about scary movies or movies trying to be scary. Today, we are joined by one of our regular guests, Darren Lindsay himself.
What's up?
How you doing, buddy?
Good. How you doing, man?
Good. You and I are going to be talking 1987's The Lost Boys. Before you and I jump into this, let's do a real quick synopsis. After moving to a new town, two brothers soon discover that the area is a haven for vampires.
Thou shalt not fall.
All right, buddy. So 1987's The Lost Boys. So you had recommended this one.
Yeah.
And what was funny is I had recently bought this on Blu-ray, and I had never owned this before.
Really?
I don't know why I never bought it. I do that sometimes with movies. Maybe it was because they show it on TV a lot. I don't know.
What channel they show that on?
I've seen it. Oh God, I don't know what channel, but I've seen it. I've seen it on TV, like one of Comcast's channels. Yeah, I've seen it several times. Like I don't sit, like I'll watch a few minutes and then I'll flip it and I'm like, oh, so it's like certain movies with me. Like I just over the years just never bought it because it's on TV, so why, And maybe that's the only thing I can think of. Because I mean, it's a good movie. It's a solid, 80s vampire movie.
Yep.
And so rewatching it last night for the podcast, I had watched it a few months ago. So I, it was pretty fresh in my head. So it was like, yeah, I wasn't like fully paying attention to how I normally would.
Yeah.
Because I just watched it.
Yeah. Well, that's understandable. Yeah. I hadn't seen this movie in quite a while. I mean, I've seen it a lot. I mean, probably easily, a dozen times, over the years.
I'll be honest. I don't think I've seen it that many times over the years.
Really?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I dig vampire movies, but I don't think vampire movies are my favorite. Like as I've talked in the past, I like ghost stuff. I think if I was to pick between like say werewolves and vampires, I'd probably gravitate towards werewolves. But
yeah, no, true. And I mean, I think I'm the same way. I mean, when it comes to like a horror movie, I don't gravitate to vampires. The thing with The Lost Boys is it's become sort of an iconic 80s horror movie in a way. I mean, it's really well made.
It is.
The cinematography on it is amazing. To me, it stands the test of time. Like I could still sit and watch that now, and it doesn't seem cheesy to me in 2021.
No, it doesn't. It didn't feel cheesy at all to me. It definitely is reminiscent of the 80s just by the look of it. With
the pop culture.
The pop culture, yeah, yeah. Other than that,
and the fact that it's Santa Cruz.
I know, isn't that funny?
Yeah,
it's like why couldn't they call it Santa Cruz?
Santa Carla.
I was thinking about that last night. All they did was take Santa Clara, and then they just rotated some of the words and called it Santa Carla.
Yeah,
and I'm like, come on, it's clearly Santa Cruz.
Yeah,
I mean, so I don't. Why couldn't they use the name?
They probably didn't get permission.
Probably, but they used everything else in the damn
they did.
town.
But it's one thing to use visuals here and there and stuff. I mean, obviously, it's pretty obvious. The boardwalk's the boardwalk. If you've ever been there and know anything about it, by looking at it what it is. However, by not actually saying the word Santa Cruz, there's plausible deniability. Maybe it's not. And so without getting permissions or maybe they attempt to get permission and maybe Santa Cruz County or whoever's responsible for that decision said no, they didn't want, that.
Maybe that stigma tied to a vampire movie. Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
What was funny is I've only been to Santa Cruz a couple times. The very beginning of the movie when the security guard is being attacked.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I parked right there.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's the parking lot. I parked it. I was like, oh, I remember parking right there.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
And then like some of the shops, I'm like, they looked familiar to me. Yes. Like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Absolutely. And I used to go with my uncle all the time. My uncle's a year older than I am. It's a long story. I don't want to go into that. But anyways, we're very close in age. And we used to go there all the time. Like his kids, I think his mom had a house there or something.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, so we used to go to boardwalk like all the time. That bridge, they were, that bridge.
Oh, yeah.
God, we used to like walk up and down that bridge all the time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I had never been on. Like I said, only been there maybe twice.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went, I think it was just Andrea and I, and never visited the bridge.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I got something.
It's okay.
And it's early in the morning.
It's March, man. The allergies.
Yes, it is. There's definitely, I can see spring is approaching and the stuff is in the air and it's like, it's messing up my,
I'll do my best to edit it out.
Yes, please. Thank you. So, like I said, I watched it recently, watched it again last night. What I realized about this movie, it feels very big budgety kind of movie. Now, I don't know what the budget was for this movie, but you could definitely tell there's a big look. There's a lot of horror movies that are small budget and the studios are reluctant to release it, but they release it and they don't do any sort of marketing. There was marketing on this. This was big. Like, the two Coreys and Kiefer Sutherland and Jason Patrick, Jamie Gertz at the time was she was a big 80s star.
Yeah. And what was his name again? Jason Patrick.
Yeah,
he's a pretty boy.
He was Michael. Dude,
yeah.
How many friggin' times did we hear the name Michael in this?
I know.
I think I read it was like 118 times.
Well,
they
like
said
Kiefer Sutherland's character, David.
Michael, yeah.
Every single time it's hey Michael, hey have some noodles, Michael. Hey, those are maggots, Michael. It was like, okay, dude, we get it. You know his name.
I don't know. Did he negotiate something in his contract? Hey, if they every time they say my character's name, I get this.
I know, right?
Dude, it was so many.
I get a kookaroo.
It was like, it was so many times. It was like, oh my God.
How many kookaroos do you have?
Yeah.
21, 22.
But this was directed by Joel Schumacher, which was I don't know what Joel Schumacher is doing these days. I know he was doing a lot of movies in the 80s. I think right before this, he did St. Elmo's Fire.
Yeah.
So,
so get back to that actor. He aged pretty well. I don't know if you've seen
Jason Patrick?
Yeah.
No, I
haven't seen pictures of him, but he aged pretty well.
Did he?
According to my wife, he after that, like throughout his kind of his career, I guess he got into drugs like for a period of time and
wasn't he in the movie not Blow, because Blow was the one with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
It's another one-word drug movie. Damn, I can't think of it. And I'm pretty sure it was Jennifer Jason Leigh was his co-star in it. It's like Blow, but it's something like that. It's like literally one word and it's short. And he plays like a undercover cop, I think. And he tries to infiltrate like a drug thing. And he then gets consumed by drugs. So that's kind of ironic. I didn't know this about him. I didn't know that he had an issue with drugs.
He did. Yeah.
God damn it. What was it? It's it's not Blow. It's, oh my God, it's driving me crazy. See if you can
I'm looking at
see if you can find it on like IMDb or something. But I know Jennifer Jason Leigh was in it, and I know they were the two stars. And I'm pretty sure the premise was he was going undercover, and then he gets heavy into drugs and kind of spirals, out of control. And I can't remember what it was. Anyways, you can find it, but no, I did not. He had a little drug issue, huh?
He did, apparently.
That's terrible.
But I mean, if you look picture of him now, you couldn't really tell. He's aged pretty darn well.
Good. I mean, I know we know Kiefer Sutherland has had a pretty darn good career. Jamie Gertz, she was bigger in the 80s, but I know she's done other stuff. And then you got Alex Winter, who plays Marco. He barely had any lines, but we know him from like Bill and Ted's, insert name of movie here. I think they did 3 of them, but and then the two Coreys.
Yeah.
Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, and this was their first movie together, and they did plenty afterwards.
Are you sure it wasn't Narc?
No, it wasn't Narc.
Okay.
I want to say it was sometime maybe in the 90s. Look up I tell you what, look up, go to IMDb and look up Jason Patrick, and then it should tell you right off. It's bothering me. It's like literally 4 letters, and it's not Blow because Blow is Johnny Depp, but it's like that. Yeah. You sure that's not him? Maybe I'm thinking of another actor.
You have to be thinking of another actor, man, because I've looked through his whole filmography.
It's not him?
Nope.
Damn it. Who am I thinking of then? Okay, so maybe I got him and someone else mixed up.
I mean, it's not important to the...
No, I know, but now it's bothering me.
Yeah, don't go down that rabbit hole.
No, don't get that.
Nah,
okay,
dude, don't bother.
All right, so now because someone's going to listen and go, Rick, dude, it was so and so. I do know Jennifer Jason Leigh was in it. I do know that. So, yeah. Oh well, it's whatever.
So the Coreys, you need to help me with this one.
Okay.
Because I'm still wrestling with this, and it's been a while since I've seen this movie. And I remember thinking the exact same thing. So I rewatched it last night for the first time in probably, dude, easily a year and a half. It's been that long. Okay. And as the movie progressed, I remember formulating this in my head again, too. It was more confusion than anything else. And so then I remember, God, yeah, like the last time I watched this movie, the same damn thing popped into my head. Maybe you can shed some light on this, but what was Corey Haim's character's like sexual orientation? He seemed to sort of go in another way there. Like they had him, like his dress, the way they dressed him in was
it was
odd.
It was strange to me. So and I was thinking about this, and if you remember, we had a previous episode I think we did with Jennifer, where I was saying I'd watched Lost Boys, and why did Corey Haim's character have a poster of Rob Lowe on his wall?
It
not only
suggestive
was it
too,
very suggestive. Okay, so I have heard two different things, and maybe our listeners can confirm this. The first thing I heard, and I think actually Morris had mentioned this, Corey Haim's character was originally supposed to be a girl. Oh. And then they recasted and they used Corey Haim. Now, see, that would make sense.
That absolutely would make sense because of
posters, because of the wardrobe.
Born to shop.
So now I don't know if there's any truth to that. Now, last night when I was, doing some kind of just research on it, Joel Schumacher had said the reason he put a poster of Rob Lowe is because he had just directed him in St. Elmo's Fire. Was that just a joke or, hey, just a shout out to Rob? To me, it would make more sense, though, if you had a girl originally for this part.
Yes.
She would absolutely have a poster of Rob Lowe on the wall. That Born to Shop t-shirt. Because they said, and someone's please has to confirm this, they said they shot this movie in 3 weeks. That's not even possible. Is that even possible? Because this looks like a big budget horror movie. I mean, 80s movie. 3 weeks they shot this thing.
Well, I mean, you could, let's think about this. On the boardwalk itself, okay, they can't draw that out, dude. I mean, it can't be drawn out because the boardwalk is a major attraction for Santa Cruz. Okay, so in order to film, they got to shut it down.
Yes.
So they just can't have anybody willy-nilly in there. They got to shut it down. So the Santa Cruz, the county or whatever that deals with that, are not going to be okay with an extended, length of time to shut the boardwalk down for filming. And so then if you take that and you think about, you try to think about how many scenes there are actually of the boardwalk, it's possible to get all that done. And then all the other locations throughout. It's possible. You got to be very motivated.
3 weeks.
I know.
I guess it's possible, but first of all, I guess if you're dealing with those obstacles of filming a lot of this in Santa Cruz and being at the mercy of, like you said, the county of Santa Cruz and the people that run the boardwalk and everything else. But then all those other scenes, like say for instance, the motor, when they're on their dirt, motorcycle, dirt bike, and they're, that would take a while to film, right? I mean, I mean, stuff like that takes longer than we think it does. I don't know. Maybe, no?
I don't know.
I mean, that's what it said. I don't know if there's any truth to that.
According to IMDb, it was filmed in 3 weeks.
Damn. I mean, if going back to the Tusk episode, I thought, and we'd mentioned in the episode, I think Kevin Smith had filmed it in like 2 or 3 weeks. I could see that because of the type of movie it was. This seems just so much bigger and more Hollywood. And it's like, why would you want to look, I get the obstacles, but why would you want to rush that in 3 weeks? Yeah. I mean, right? I mean, why would you want to do that?
I don't think they wanted to. What I think is that they wanted the setting.
Yeah.
That I feel was probably not negotiable. I feel like they wanted that vibe, that setting. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that the 3 weeks was a result of negotiations and, Boardwalk ain't going to get shut down for an extended period of time. So then it became, well, can we do this in the time allotted?
Because I mean, I'm sure a lot of those scenes, like, the scene with, say, Grandpa's house, that was probably somewhere else because you know how they are.
Yeah, of course.
They film little bits here and say Santa Cruz or Santa Carla, but then all the other stuff is filmed elsewhere.
But now, if think about the movie throughout, there were a lot of, I don't know what you call them, cinematic shots, aerial shots.
Yes.
That stuff can get shot in like a couple of days.
True. Like, like the water, like when they're, when they're kind of hovering over the water and it's got like that cool, kind of shadowy colors are popping off of the waves and stuff. That is true. That could be.
So seriously, really, when you break it down, there are 3 sets, if you will. There's the cave.
That's true. The cave.
There's Grandpa's house. And then there's
Max's house. That was the video store.
Yeah,
the comic book store. But again, I bet you those are all part of Santa Cruz.
I lump that into the Boardwalk, dude. So
so yeah, really. And well, the bridge is all part of Santa Cruz. So
it is because it's right there. It's right before you walk into Santa Cruz. When not from the front where the street is, from the side. That's where the bridge is. I know this because I used to go there as a kid. Yeah.
I guess that's possible. It just blew me away that because you're used to movies going 3-6 months for filming, and then 3 weeks is crazy.
So you remember when in the beginning of the movie when they were driving in and the
billboard said,
and then when he looked back, it said the murder capital of the world. Apparently, according to IMDb, Santa Cruz was once plagued with that reputation.
Yes, in the 70s.
Yep. Apparently, there was murders by a bunch of disturbed guys.
Well, one of them was the serial killer Edmund Kemper.
Oh,
have you ever heard him?
Yes, I have.
Oh, yeah, he was one of them. There was 3 guys. I don't remember their names. Him, I remember because I've watched stuff on him. But yeah, it was in like the early 70s, and they had a string of it was something like 30 murders in like 30 something months or something like that. And so Santa Cruz was a little reluctant on that being in the movie because it's like, hey, we kind of got rid of the stigma and now you're bringing it back and people are going to know it's Santa Cruz.
You know what's interesting too? I hate, that's the thing with IMDb. You go in, you look at these, there's like a rabbit hole. But apparently every year in Santa Cruz, this film is screened as part of the park's like free summer movie series.
That would be cool though, right?
Yeah, right? I mean,
I would totally go do that.
Completely, yes.
That would be awesome, man. Hey, kick it on the beach and, watch The Lost Boys. But getting back to your question. No, dude, it's okay, man. That is now, again, I don't know if there's any truth to that. I had just heard that they were going to cast a girl instead of a boy for that role. That makes sense because of the stuff in the room, what he's wearing. I just don't know. But yes, there are stuff going on in this movie that I don't think I had really caught before. When you're younger watching this movie, you watch it through a different lens.
You do. Yeah.
We're in our, I'm close to 50.
Whatever. You're 50.
You are in your 50s.
Whatever.
We look at stuff differently these days.
Yeah.
And so like you were saying, there's a lot of undertones going on here.
There are
a lot of stuff happening here.
Which kind of is funny to me. Like I kind of caught it last night when I was watching And
yes.
it was stuff that I had not caught before. But
Well, what again, and you could probably find this on IMDb, because I think I read this. Joel Schumacher was really trying to push the male sexuality in this movie.
mm-hmm. Well, he did a good job, because you remember that little concert going on the beach.
Yes,
the
guy
the
is
beefy,
he's
muscle-bound
ripped. It looks like he's oiled up.
He's all oiled up, and he's playing
saxophone. I find it kind of cheesy and weird, and I'm like, what is that all about? But hey, the crowd's into it. Sure, I don't know, man. I wasn't in Santa Carla / Santa Cruz in the say the mid 80s. So I don't know. Was that something?
Yes.
I assume they did that.
I was. Because again, it wasn't just my childhood where I would go there. I went there all through my
you're very familiar with
this.
In
fact, I watched they had a building. It was right on the beach there, right next to the boardwalk. And I don't remember exactly. It was you basically buy tickets, you go in there, and it was like this round room, and you lay on the floor on these bean bags and all this stuff, and trip out to like music, and there's like they do like this little laser show thing on the ceiling. And I remember I just don't remember what the theme was. But so they did all that kind of stuff, dude.
Yeah, I could see, because it's very kind of, there's also a lot of hippie stuff going on,
very
right?
Very much so, yes.
I mean, because when
Santa Cruz very
hippie. I mean, because they conveyed that in the comic book store. The mom and dad, were they ever awake? The frogs' parents?
Yeah.
They were never awake in the movie. Literally every
Did they
shot.
Even have parents?
Yeah. So the two, when they're in the comic book store, the two hippies behind them, that was supposed to be their parents, and they were never awake. They were literally asleep in every scene.
That's hilarious. You know what I noticed was funny, if you picked up on this, but
hold on, really fast. The movie's called Rush. Jason Patric. I was right.
Okay.
I knew it was it was driving me bananas. I knew it was something like Blow, but it's called Rush.
Okay.
Anyways, go ahead.
So was it Edgar and his
the Frog Brothers.
Was it his brother?
Brothers.
Alan. So Edgar Allan Poe is where that was from. It has to be absolutely no doubt in my mind.
Yes,
that makes their names.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, totally.
Because Edgar is not a name you hear very often.
When did you ever hear Edgar?
Edgar Allan Poe.
Edgar Wright, the director. It's the only dude. Other than that, I haven't heard any Edgars. Yeah. So yes. So where do we? I mean, I guess we can.
We're just sort of skipping around. I think at this point, I mean, spoilers are obvious for this sort of thing.
Totally.
We don't really need to go from the beginning to the end. I think we've already established we're sort of jumping around.
We are, but I mean, yes, like we were talking prior to the starting of the podcast. We did want to touch on. Like I said, I had read that Joel Schumacher was really pushing that male sexuality in this movie, and it is really in our face.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because I would argue there's really only two characters in the movie that are women. That would be Jamie Gertz's character, which is Star, and then the mother.
Yeah.
Who else is there? It's a lot of.
Speaking of the mother.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't even know if you've seen this movie, and I know you. I have no doubt you hate. If you did see it, you hated it.
Yeah.
She was in Practical Magic.
Never seen that movie.
Okay. Yeah. She was like one of there were like two aunts.
Okay.
And then what's her name? God, blanking on the actress.
Yeah.
What was her name?
I don't know. I've never seen Practical Magic.
She married Jesse James.
Oh God, what's her name? Oh my Lord.
Please help me.
I know. God, I am drawing a blank. What's her name from oh my gosh. Dude, it is way too early for you to do this to me.
I know. I'm sorry. Her.
I know who you're talking about, though. She was in like Demolition Man, and she was in like a Miss Congeniality.
Yes.
And why am I drawing a blank on her? I feel like an idiot right now.
Anyways,
you should look it up. But yeah. I've never seen that movie.
So it was her, and they're like a bunch of witches,
Yeah.
So like then there's like her two aunts, and she was one of the aunts, and it like I don't know why I didn't pick up on it. But of course, it was many, many years later that Pattern Magic came out.
Yeah.
And, she'd put on a few LBs. And so
Sandra Bullock.
Oh my God,
Jesus Lord, dude. People, it sucks getting old, man.
It does.
Like it is. I remember when we were younger, and then our uncles, aunts, whatever, they would forget stuff, and we make fun of them. And now we're them because, dude, I can't remember shit anymore.
True. It's true. I know that this is going to be sort of a weird little spin-off, but in this vein, this exact thing you're talking about, this phenomenon of getting older, I remember watching an interview with. It was Metallica. It was Kirk Hammett.
Okay.
About his solos, because Metallica is, dude, how many albums they have now and how many years have they spanned? You figure
a lot.
All of the solos that he has to remember, and he goes, dude, anymore. He's like, I'm getting so old. He goes, the way it is it's like one solo in, one solo out, one solo in, one solo out.
I could see that.
Yeah. It's like the minute he learns a thing, he forgets. It's like his brain is hit capacity.
Dude, not to mention as we're, okay, so you and I are, we're 50-ish, right? Mm-hmm. Can you imagine how much information has come in and out of our damn brains?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's stuff we retain because maybe we feel it's more important than other stuff.
Yeah.
Anymore, like I just like this. Dude, we should know Sandra Bullock's name.
Absolutely.
We should, but it's because we got other million different things going on, not to mention our jobs. And I am a believer that stuff just gets pushed out and it gets filled in with other stuff that is, say, relevant right now.
Yeah. Well, and I would also argue, to our credit, I suppose, maybe credit is not right. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
We're also trying to, we're wrapping our heads around a specific movie, and we're trying to, maintain details of that movie or whatever. And while we're in the moment, all while trying to record a podcast and make sure we don't cough too much, it's plausible that certain other details just aren't.
It is. It is absolutely. I agree with you. It is. It is definitely possible. And it's happening because we've done it now twice in this episode.
So male sexuality, they were really trying to push that.
They really were. But if that time, that it makes sense, right? You got, what did you have in the 80s? You had the Tiger Beat, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It was that magazine was catered towards.
Oh yeah.
It was catered again. I think. Again, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was catered towards the younger teenage girls because they're buying a lot of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so these guys would, like you said, some of these shirts that Corey Haim would wear, you could see a girl, a girl or woman.
Tiger Beat would also have some stuff for like boys in there. They would. Christy McNichol.
Yes, they would.
I had a poster that came out of that Tiger Beat of her like on the skateboard.
Oh yeah. Dude, they would. But I think over time it kind of started catering towards a certain crowd.
It did.
Because I think I'm trying to remember if my sister had it, because my sister would be a few years younger than me, and I swear maybe I'm getting this confused, but inside it had multiple posters.
Yeah,
and you could pull out a poster of like say a Corey Haim or I don't know, a Rob.
It would always suck if because of the fold of where it was in there, if you happen to like both of the because you could either flip it around for one
side of it.
That would always suck, dude.
Yeah. So it's like, so I could totally see them really trying to cater towards that crowd, right?
Yeah.
But still throwing in the vampire element that you still rope in all the horror fans. And it's just, like I said, man, it felt very big budgety to me, but maybe it wasn't a huge budget. It just felt very Hollywood to me.
I think the cinematography is what helped make it feel that way.
Yes, it did.
Seriously, because it felt grand. And I think the grandiose nature of it was because of how the outdoors, like the aerial shots and the ocean and all of that stuff led to this feeling of large.
It did.
And like another show that at least early on was trying to go there. And of course the networks shut it down because they were focused a little bit more on a different show at the time. It was AMC, Mad Men. They were they were trying. Their budget was all on Mad Men, and so Walking Dead. When Frank Darabont was directing it, first season, maybe season and a half.
Okay,
he was battling with AMC because he wanted it more outside, grandiose, large.
I get you.
They
just didn't have the budget for it.
They were focused on Mad Men.
So now was Breaking Bad still happening at that time? Because I'm sure they had to throw some money at that too.
Yeah, maybe. Possibly.
Yeah. Because you had Mad Men, yeah.
Yeah. And so, but what I had read that it was specifically Mad Men. They were focusing the majority of their money over there. And so they would, the director for Walking Dead, Frank Darabont, he would have to make these concessions. Like they would say stuff like, like he would want like big sweeping scenes, outside with these, zombie horde coming in and, and like maybe the Rick and whatever are inside of a room and, and kind of a combination of all that. So it felt cinematic and it felt, big.
Sure.
And AMC would turn around and say, well, no, man, can't you just have the set be inside the room and you just hear zombies? You don't ever see zombies.
That makes sense.
And
he left the show not long after that, right?
I have no doubt it was because of irreconcilable differences.
I heard that. Yeah. Like after season 1 or 2 or 3 or something, he just probably got tired of battling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He absolutely did. And, it's too bad because not every movie, but in certain movies, you need that grandiose cinematography. You just need it. In Walking Dead, you need it. AMC eventually came around, but good Lord, can they just let that thing die already?
Dude, did I hear? Look, we've said this before. I think in an episode with you and I gave up on that thing in season 5.
Oh, Jesus.
And did I hear they do a spinoff with Daryl's character?
Oh, so little.
I think I heard
heard that, but they are doing spinoffs and they want that thing to go.
Oh my God.
Rick, it would not surprise me if that there wasn't like a 20th season of that thing.
Oh my God, dude. Give up on that thing already.
It's so stupid.
To me, it's like, look, wrap it up after 5 or 6 seasons because, like Breaking Bad did, there's a lot of series that will do that 5 or 6 seasons and go out on top, man. But they are just milking this thing. Like, I feel like the zombie craze, it came and it went.
Yep.
It's gone. Like, it's okay to throw in a movie occasionally, but
they have milked that cow. There is nothing more to get from it.
I have not, like I said, I gave up on season 5. I was done. I was bored. I'd seen it all. I was like, I just don't care about these characters anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care where it goes. I just threw my hands up. I have not regretted not look. I just haven't looked back. To me, it's like I think I saw a commercial, gosh, within the last year, and it looked so bad. It looked so bad.
Yeah,
like sure. It almost looked super low budgety and just almost very comic-y and just like almost just ridiculousness, and it was like, but anyways.
So like I said, so I think it's a good call. I think that's what, one of the things that lended itself well to this movie and why it feels the way it feels is because of just, it's all outdoors and it's very grand. It's very big, this movie.
It is. And some of these shots, I always look for certain things when I watch a movie. And I love music. We've talked about this. I love camera angles.
Yep.
I love certain technical stuff that you do. What I enjoyed about this is conveying something without really having to see everything, if that makes sense. Like, for instance, the security guard getting attacked and pulled, and all you see is like him flying up in the air in the door, but you only see just a part of it.
Yeah.
It's left to your imagination to figure out what's happening.
So they do that, at least in the first number of kills.
They do.
And until they finally show you the grisliness of it, which is probably the nastiest scene in the entire movie at the beach.
At the beach, yeah.
When
then
they were trying to get him to feed for the first time.
Yes, yeah.
And
even that was pretty tame. I mean, nowadays. But they had to.
Of course.
Because of the audience. I mean, I don't know what sort of rating it had. My guess it was probably PG-13 or something. Yeah.
So, Shaylee was watching it last night.
Has she seen it before?
She hadn't.
Okay.
No, and that kid is definitely a kid that was born in the wrong time, man. Every time she watches an 80s movie of any kind, she's like, damn it. She's like, I wish that I was born in the 80s. And I'm like, no, honey, you don't want to be born in the 80s. What you're wishing for is you were born when your mom and I were born.
Yeah.
So that you're a teenager in the 80s.
Yes.
I'm like, because being a teenager in the 80s was pretty fucking fun.
Yes.
It really was.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And
it was really carefree.
It was, man.
Yes.
It was just it's such a different time, and
everyone was just having fun.
Yeah, it was a different feel. Like, it wasn't the feel of, say, the late 60s or 70s where, it's all about the, peace and love. And it was different in the 80s, but it still had a similar feel. Unless you were born around our time, say late 60s, 70s, and you were a kid, teenager in the 80s, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
If not, you just don't get it.
It's just fun and partying.
It was just
fun.
It was, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing was really taken seriously. A testament to the ridiculous wardrobes back then. I mean, nothing was taken seriously. Everything was just like crazy colors and.
But man, it is going back and looking at some of these 80s movies through our say 2020, 21 lens. The color, this stuff looks crazy, but again, we were so used to it because we saw it, but now you know how it always seems there's like it's like
cyclical.
And how many different generations since then have taken from the 80s?
You
see it all the time. You still see it. The bright colors, the neon stuff. There's
a resurgence. There's always
leggings.
Is,
you'll see it like it'll go through a span, and it's like, hey, leggings
big
are all of a sudden
sweaters and leggings.
Yep. It all, and they all seem to.
But now,
take from that time frame.
What I noticed is that, not long ago, there was sort of a resurgence in some 80s attire. I'd say it was like maybe 8 years ago, 10 years ago. There was a huge one.
Yeah.
But it wasn't embraced like the actual 80s. What they would do is they do the oversized sweaters and the leggings and that kind of stuff, but the colors wouldn't be so completely radical. You remember, dude.
The
those
colors,
80s colors were, it was...
It was
neon.
Yes, it was. It was a lot of neon, a lot of different colors, just all jumbled together.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, you could see it in one of Corey Haim's shirts last night. It was super long and it was crazy looking, but see, then it's like, it's so like we look at it now and we don't even think twice about it. The hairdos, like. Dude, I mean, and I know a lot of it originated from, say, Europe, the kind of invasion and like I would say almost argue like in the late 70s, the punk scene and how the hairdos, like when you first saw it, you're like, that's crazy. And then a year or two later, it was nothing. Like if you saw the lead singer of, say, like A Flock of Seagulls.
Yeah.
You would go, what the fuck? Yeah. And then it just over time, it just became like his was crazy, but his is an extreme, example, but everyone had that. They had the so many different colors and stuff was shaved and stuff was the mohawks are. Dude, I mean, a mohawk today is still fucking cool, dude. It's just, I love to see someone with a mohawk because it's like, look, man, you are doing your thing. You don't give a shit what anyone thinks or says. And it's not, you don't see that as much these days, but it was super in your face in, say, late 70s and through the 80s, man.
Yeah.
Especially the punk scene.
Yeah, for sure.
But man, it is definitely it is definitely an 80s, man. You look at it and go, holy shit, man.
God,
the video store. God, I miss a video store, dude. Video stores. I remember the background when, I don't remember the scene, but it was there was a big cardboard cutout, and I remember that cardboard cutout in the video stores.
Advertising another movie.
Yeah, it was like something like The Kiss of the Spider Woman or something like.
It was right behind.
Yes, I remember that cardboard cutout, dude. I remember that. It's man, I miss the '80s, man. I look, I'm not gonna say I wish I could go back because I don't, but. I do miss that time.
Well, I mean, from a pop culture point of view, is amazing. But I agree. I mean, like looking back on that, it's like, would I really want to revisit that again? Just because that means that I'd be, I'd be like what, 13 through 18, 19. So
revisiting all those days.
I really want to revisit those years. I'd probably do a few things differently.
Right. Oh no, man. Yeah. There was, True.
Oh Lord.
True. Anyways,
but it was just
we're getting very nostalgic on you, everyone.
But it's just funny because her saying that because every single time she watches an 80s movie, dude, she's like, "God damn, you love the 80s."
Yeah. Marissa's very much like that. Andrea and Donovan, not so much. And Marissa really embraces that, I think that time as well. She appreciates that time. And so it's kind of very similar to Shaylee. So yeah.
So now, talking about the actual Lost Boys. So like, what'd you think of the four of them? Their acting, what did you think of them? It was okay, right? Kiefer Sutherland, he did a good job.
Kiefer Sutherland's great, man. I mean, he comes from a good pedigree with his father, Donald Sutherland, phenomenal actor.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You had like we mentioned, Alex Winter. He hasn't done a ton of stuff over the years, but people would remember from this and the Bill and Ted movies. I thought he was good, man.
Yeah.
The other guys didn't have a lot of lines. I'm trying to remember their names. I think it was Paul and Dwayne were the character names.
Yeah.
Dude, they were right. I mean, you could see these guys as being a group of dudes that would hang out, right?
For sure.
Again, very the long hair that you're seeing, the very pushing the piercings and the showing of the chest. It's again pushing that, really pushing that sexuality.
Yeah, well, it had a very the four of them. Well, maybe not Kiefer Sutherland's character, David.
No,
but the other three,
he's more of yes.
The other three had an 80s hair metal band vibe to me.
Yes.
Especially the dark hair guy.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
Now,
Thank
he
you.
could be straight from like Whitesnake or something like
one of those. Yeah. One of the big hair bands.
Cinderella.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Totally
yeah,
right.
Warrant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I did a good job. I mean, I had no complaints really.
No complaints about any of them. Not at all, man. They just didn't have a lot of lines, but Kiefer Sutherland is come on, man. He's the kind of he's the leader, and let's be real, he's probably the best actor out of all of them. And so,
now as far as vampire mythology goes, I think they didn't stray too far outside the lines on this one. They established, okay, so apparently in this universe, apparently you can just drink a bottle of one of the vampire's blood and now you're a half a vampire. So you can't seal the deal, or the deal's not sealed until you actually make your own kill, and then you're like a full-fledged vampire. I think is what was going on here.
That's exactly it.
And so you had
Star.
You had Star. You had the kid.
And the kid was Laddie. And then you had Michael or Jason Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those three.
They were half vampire or vampire fledglings.
Yeah.
So they still had some shred of the humanity going on, I guess.
Yeah. So interesting. Okay. Michael, we know he just moves into town. Star and Laddie, what was the relationship there?
None.
Okay. So then why? I could see Star. I could see, look, I mean, she's maybe a possible or a previous love interest of, say, David, which is Kiefer Sutherland's character, or they just wanted to see if she was interested in being part of their thing. Laddie, explain that one to me. Was he missing on the milk carton because they took him, or did he run away from home and he was missing?
No, I got the vibe that he was missing because they snatched him up.
Okay, but why? Tell me the purpose of grabbing a kid.
Because
that's what I'm just trying to figure
the
out.
main vampire, the guy, the owner of
Max.
Max. He wanted this family.
That makes
Remember,
sense.
he actually said
Yes,
at the
he
end
did.
there, you know,
He
I
did.
had this whole plan, and you know, until you kids came along.
Yeah, I know you damn kids, Scooby and Shaggy.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
Yep.
He did say that.
He did. So
you
had
wanted the
his-
young kid.
Yep.
You have like maybe the girl who's like maybe an older sister, and then
Yep.
you got the boys
Yep.
and
then her boys and that. Yep.
And then of course, you know, Lucy, the mom, would be the. Yeah.
It was all gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
And then you kids had to
True.
come along and
Look it up.
yeah, man. So I mean, that's
It is kind of true. Like if you really think about it, it almost reminds me of a Scooby-Doo episode because all those episodes were at some sort of amusement park
Yeah.
or something, and the Santa Cruz,
right.
or
Mystery Machine fucking
yeah.
pulls up.
So the boardwalk would totally be like that
Yep.
perfect setting
Yep.
for a Scooby episode.
Totally. And then right, isn't at the end like you know
The reveal.
the reveal? He pulls off his mask.
I
and
would
it
have
turns-
gotten away with it if it wasn't for you damn Corys.
Totally. What are you, a girl or a boy? Yeah, man. That's that's the reason right there, man.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, the main vamp guy. He wanted himself like this. Yeah, this weird idea of a family. And
Yeah, it's kind of odd though, right? Yeah. I mean, it made sense. I mean, you know, that's the thing about vampire. Look, we know vampires aren't real. We know werewolves aren't real. And over time, all these movies have like developed their own rules, right?
Yeah.
So you can do whatever the hell you want.
I mean, you can. I mean, I think it's important though to stick sort of within
So,
the
like,
general guidelines.
So
of
you can't come out daylight and holy water, or
certain
some,
things,
you know,
but
stakes through the heart.
I think that you can play around in there as long as, you know, you don't just abandon what we all have grown to understand the baseline of vampirism, you know, like, okay, they're immortal. They can be killed through certain means, you know, and I like what they did with the Max guy, you know, which is what, you know, it tracks for me as far as what I know, you know, the myths of vampires are is, you know, they can't come in unless you're invited.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're invited, you've pretty much have rendered yourself mostly powerless. You know, they're not going to get, you know, they're all weirded out over garlic, which I don't really understand the garlic thing anyways. I think to me that's kind of stupid.
I don't get that. That seems dumb to me.
Holy water makes some sense.
That makes absolute sense.
But if
crosses, or crucifixes, sure.
Stakes, you know, but if you're going to invite one in, then you've rendered all of that null and void in a way. So, and I think that was what they were trying to establish with the Max, you know, the Corys were setting up all that stuff to try, you know, they had like switched out the Parmesan cheese with like all the garlic, you know, and then the holy water, I think they did.
They spilled a glass. Yep.
Yeah. And then the last thing they did was flip the lights off. And then when they turned the lights back on, they had a mirror in front of his face and he was able to see his reflection.
So then I would argue why? If I invite you in, that means none of those things apply. That seems weird to me.
What it means is that the vampire now has the complete power over you. That's
your point you're trying to make.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
I can get on board with that.
Because if you think about it, the Lost Boys, when they went in there, they weren't invited in.
No, they were not.
They were not absolutely not. They just intruded in.
Yes.
And so they were susceptible to certain, the holy water.
So the stuff
one dude, got, the dog sort of pushed him into the tub of holy water and he, and of course, inexplicably, like the entire plumbing system in that house just exploded. But okay.
That annoyed me. Since you're bringing it up, that bothered me.
Yeah, I had that's the whole reason I brought it up.
Dude, that was dumb. That was dumb. Stupid, dude. That made absolutely no sense.
Grandpa's house.
His house got fucked up.
His shit got tore up.
But he was all cool. He was drinking his old school Dr. whatever the hell he was drinking, Dr. Pepper or whatever he had in a bottle.
Yeah.
And he was just whatever, he was all cool with it.
Still though.
But still, dude.
They fucked his shit up, dude.
Look, I think it's just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Did you notice all the foreshadowing?
Like, give me an example.
So he was out there. Grandpa was out there
with
fixing the fence, and he had the one stake, which happened to be the stake that killed the.
Yeah. Convenient, but we'll get to that. But true, man. I guess if you're invited in, I can get on board with that. It doesn't mean that stuff. I know what you're saying. It's just, again, man, I guess it's just, look, for the sake of vampire movies, you have free range to kind of do stuff. Now, sure, you want to stick to some things, but dude, it's a friggin' movie. Yeah. So really, you can do whatever you want, and you can justify all of these things, right?
Well, you can to a degree, though, because when you go too far out of whack, you're almost drawing negative attention to yourself if you're making a movie about a specific type of creature that has a mythology behind it. You need to honor the mythology to some degree, because if you stray too far outside the lines, it's no longer the thing you're trying to paint. It's now something else, and you better call it something else.
And you think it draws more attention to it if they kind of steer away from
if they go too far. It's okay to color outside the lines a little bit. And Anne Rice, she did exactly that on those vampire books. You have the basic mythology of the vampire, and now you can explore here and there, with it, but you better stay basically true. And I think that needs to be expected for any of these sorts of creatures that have a mythology behind them. Yeah. Because otherwise it's no longer that.
Why do you think it's sunlight? Because they can come out at night and there's lights. Do you think it's just the difference between the sun and it? Because we know
there are creatures of the night.
No, I know, I get that part, but I'm like,
that's as far as you have to go.
But the sunlight so for instance, when David or Kiefer Sutherland, when he's putting his when they attack Marco and they kill him and his hand is burning. Yeah. Again, this has happened in just about every vampire movie. It's like sunlight will kill them, but again, what's the difference between the sunlight and say like a really powerful light bulb? Because I know in the Blade movies, they experiment with the idea of like ultralight or whatever, like some crazy beam of light.
That's false light.
Oh, okay.
It's not true light, and vampires are creatures of the dark. They're creatures of the night.
Because the idea is they're like a vampire bat. Vampire bat is it sleeps at during the night, right?
No,
it sleeps during
the day.
I'm sorry, during the day. I'm getting all this backwards, but and that's what they're doing. They're supposed to be some sort of a combination of say a vampire bat, and so they're
a form of demon. They're a demon of the night. So anything in the day. And again, now this is where it needs some exploration of the mythology because like in the Anne Rice books, one of the things that's established, and it's not just her books. She got it from mythology.
Sure.
Is that vampires live forever, right? Of course, unless they're killed by a specific means, they're immortal. So hundreds and hundreds of years they've lived. Okay. And it's almost like a tolerance. It's almost like somebody who maybe drinks a lot, can probably pound an entire bottle and they'd be okay. Whereas you or I pounded the same bottle would be ass out and, hungover and probably deathly sick for the next 2 weeks, So it's similar to that. The older a vampire is, the more tolerance to things. They're able to tolerate more because they've lived long enough. They've built a tolerance to this stuff. Okay. It's the same basic sort of premise that we've got going on here. So, these, and that's why Max, because they don't ever tell you how old he is, but you have to. He's where he created them all.
Yeah.
So he's the source. So you have to assume that he's very old.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
They established that because he's able to go out during the day. He's,
Yeah, that's true.
so he's built that tolerance. He's lived long enough where, and in the Anne Rice books, that's also a thing. So vampires, the older a vampire is in those books, they can tolerate some sunlight. It's the fledglings that have the intolerance to like sunlight.
Did we see him during the day in the movie?
We absolutely did.
Which scene was that? Do you remember? Because I always thought, because that's why Sam thought, hey, it's got to be Max because we never see him during the day. I don't remember us seeing him during the day. Like, because when Lucy, the mom, went to go to his house, it was during the day, but remember the dog attacked her.
Yeah, I do. But for some reason,
I don't think we did.
I'm going to have to look it up, but I specifically remember, I thought for sure I remembered seeing at least a scene where he was out in daylight.
I don't remember that, but yeah, no, it's again, it's the, like, I've seen movies where like the head vampire will age. I think they did this I could be wrong, but in Underworld, it's like vampires against werewolves, and or maybe I got that wrong. And it could have been that, or it could have been also Blade. I mean, because I know there was some real old vampires in that. Who knows? Maybe they were turned when they became vampires. Maybe they were super old, or maybe they just aged. Maybe they're 1,000 years old, but they just age differently,
Yeah.
And again, it's you can play with different ideas. So,
I'm going to look that up.
Yeah. But, what I did, I'll tell you what I did like, and I don't recall seeing this. I've seen several vampire movies. Some I've seen more recently than others. Some like Salem's Lot, I haven't seen in a while, but I like the idea of them going into that cave, and when they find them, they're hanging upside down.
Yeah.
That was cool to me.
Yeah.
'Cause you normally just see them in a coffin. And that's boring, dude. The idea that you have these four and they're hanging from like the rafters of this cave was pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was cool. And that's what, you could, that's to me why I didn't have a problem with it. It made a lot of sense. If they went into the cave and happened to find some boxes or coffins or whatever, I probably wouldn't have a problem with it either, because that's kind of established too.
Yeah.
But they made it a point to say, oh, well, there aren't any because this entire cave is a coffin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Much,
and then it was like, oh, cool. So now we can have them hanging upside down.
Dude, seriously,
Yeah.
I dug it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Man.
And then right when they show like a close up of Kiefer Sutherland's character's feet, like later on, like they're all talons.
Dude, that was cool,
yeah.
though, man. Did you notice? Oh my God. Okay. So when they killed Marco and all that goo and stuff came out, when they went up out of the cave and they're all like slimed and bloodied up, did you notice the glitter in it?
That's actually on
Dude,
IMDb.
Why is it so much glittery? It was so like apparent.
Okay.
Was there a reason for the glitter?
Hang on.
Because I don't know, dude. I found it a bit annoying because now I kept seeing it and then I could not like stop seeing it in every scene that had like stuff on them.
Yeah, bear with me. Keep talking. because I just saw that.
But I mean, as a whole, I mean, they did a good job. I mean, look, we talked musically, it was great. Visually, it was great. I love some of the camera work. I thought for the most part, the special effects were pretty good. They made the vampires look good. I think my only thing I would complain about is Max, the head vampire, looked kind of shitty. To me, it's like, I don't know, did they just half-ass the makeup on that? Like the other, I just wasn't feeling it. Like, dude, he's the main vampire. Make him look more menacing or cooler or something.
I think that this is also a product of a 3-week.
Yeah.
No, really. Look, Max as a vampire consisted of literally 5 to maybe 8 minutes, 10 minutes at the very,
not even that,
maybe 5 minutes,
dude,
at the end of the movie. The majority of the budget needed to go to, or the majority of the time needed to go to the Lost Boys
and Michael.
Yeah.
And really and Star and Laddie. Yeah,
exactly.
True. And Laddie bothered me. His makeup bothered me too.
Yeah.
And do we ever see Jamie Gertz change? I don't think we ever see her change. So really,
Right.
this was really Michael and more so the Lost Boys.
Yes.
You know, David and the crew. That's where they spent the money. Does it say?
God, I'm looking through this and I found it. Well, I read through it earlier when we were talking, and now I can't find the actual
glitter.
Yeah, because he made a reference to it.
I wonder why it was. There had to have been a reason they threw glitter in there. Is it to really push that, you know, like the sexuality we talked about? You throw glitter in this stuff and it's all over the, I don't know. I mean, why else would you do it? It gets picked up on the camera.
Yeah.
And is it conveying something? Like there had to have been a reason for it.
What I can't find it right now, but what I'm remembering, if I can remember what I've read, it wasn't so much an explanation for the glitter. It was, I think they were just, the thing was explaining that the fake blood,
the gooey stuff, whatever.
With the glitter was like, it ended up with this viscous quality to it. It was just, they had a hard time. Like
a slimy, weird,
kind of a weird slimy thing kind of going on. But they didn't really go into like why they chose to put glitter on there. Maybe, I don't know. It's the 80s. Everything needs glitter, man.
It is the 80s, man. It is the 80s. Totally. What they could have done, which would have been vintage 80s, is made the gooey stuff neon and threw in glitter.
That would have been funny. Totally.
Right?
Like each of the Lost Boys has a different 80s color goo inside them.
Like Marco dies and he's like a neon green.
Right.
And then
one of them's got to be the bright orange.
Oh, you got to have bright orange.
Yeah.
I would say neon blue and the neon purple.
Yeah.
And I think you covered the palette there, dude.
Totally.
And everyone...
Totally.
I don't know if that would have worked, but...
Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
So we talked... we talked about one of the guys. I think his name was Paul. Paul got the bathtub death.
Yeah.
Clogged up the, I mean, they probably called
up the plumbing.
Roto-Rooter would have had a hell of a time with that.
Yeah.
And then Dwayne was the arrow, and then he falls back into the death by stereo. Like, okay, whatever, dude. Again, this is very reminiscent of the 80s, right? I mean,
that's so funny.
You got to somehow incorporate music and sparks and crazy shit happening.
Yeah.
And then of course David was, him and Michael were fighting, and and then he got the horns.
He got staked. He got staked with the antlers, in the death room.
In the
grandpa's death room. Yeah.
He loved his taxidermy, man.
He did, man. He was taxiderming everything up in there. Too bad for Corey Haim's character.
I love it.
Every morning he woke up with a different freaking rodent staring at him.
That was pretty funny.
That was kind of funny.
The one part I find, dude, I was, I don't know. It's like, I don't know about you, but sometimes I find stuff just hilarious and I will find myself laughing, and it may not be as funny as other people find it funny, but the scene where this was Sam, Corey Haim's character, and he realizes his brother's the vampire because he doesn't see the reflection, and he says something like, you're a whatever. And he goes, I'm going to tell mom or something like, you're going to be in trouble when I tell mom.
That's right. Yes.
I was rolling.
Yeah.
It just seems so fucking, it's just so dorky and funny. And it's like, he just finds out his brother's a vampire. And you know what? It's almost like, you gave me a wet willy or you gave me a titty twister.
Wait till
mom finds out. And this was like, no, you're a damn blood-sucking freak. Wait till mom finds out.
Right.
I was rolling, dude.
Yeah. Dude, we all were laughing on that one.
Dude, I will say this, man. And it's a shame what happened to Corey Haim over the years.
Yeah.
Because he was watching him in other movies, he was a pretty damn good actor, and he had a presence about him.
He did.
Corey Feldman, not so much. I know maybe people would argue that.
What bothered me about him is every line he seemed to try to deliver was like, hey, man, it's you just need to take a stick and you need to run through that.
It bothered me.
I hated that.
I heard he was fired from the movie. Joel Schumacher fired him because he was on a coke binge.
Yes.
He was big into, he was big into coke, and he came on to set.
Yeah.
And
I was just reading that.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
They fired him, and then he groveled and they let him back. But he was it was whatever for me. Like I didn't like dislike Corey Feldman. He did a lot of movies I liked in the 80s. Goonies. I mean, he did Stand By Me. He was in the Gremlins. I mean, he did some cool stuff, but I never felt he was that guy.
Yeah.
Like Corey Haim.
He had a look to him.
Who, Corey Feldman?
Haim,
he did.
Yeah.
He just had this aura about him that he was going to, if he could have just stayed clean, he could have done big things, dude.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he had a certain smile he would do every once in a while that I can't describe it.
I couldn't either, but he was super engaging.
There was a charismaticness to this.
Thank you.
Certain smile that he would do, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
It is, man. It is. Yep. But I mean, out of the two, I mean, definitely I would probably have said Corey Haim and I mean, Corey Feldman is still doing stuff these days, and good for him, man. And but yeah, I know they did a ton of other movies along the way, and it just seemed like they could never do a movie without each other. And I think that was part of their problem. It's like you get kind of thrown into this box
the two Coreys thing. That's.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, man. And one or two, it's cool, whatever, because there's a lot of people or actors that do stuff together. But, dude, do a couple and then move on and do your thing.
Well, I think part of the problem is to your point. I mean, you're right. There are plenty of actors who get pulled in to do subsequent movies that don't have anything to do with the previous movie because they got good chemistry.
Yeah.
And that's okay because they also do separated things.
Yeah.
Hollywood made this a thing. They made the two Coreys an absolute thing.
Yeah.
The two Coreys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like these two couldn't get away from that.
Not to mention the bullshit that they had to put up with, especially in an 80s Hollywood as teenage actors.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel for them, man. I mean, I've watched, and I'm not just talking about them as a whole. I'm just talking about, kids or teenagers. Look, there's some that have stayed on track and they've had just remarkable careers, but you see a lot of them that it wasn't the case, man.
Yeah.
They went through a lot of shit. And, and then they got into alcohol and drugs and whatever else, man. I mean, you've seen the tragedies of these kids. They are basically exploited, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. They're exploited, and Hollywood exploited the two Coreys.
Yep.
So.
But personal responsibility has to kick in there at least a little bit.
It does.
Look, they went in knowing full and well the machine they were walking into. And so,
but I would argue, are you sure of that as a young kid, Darren, you don't know.
Well, parents do.
But really? Okay. So no, hold on a second. My really response, these parents are all about money, Darren.
Well,
they took advantage of their kids.
Sure.
I'm not going to say all of them, but most of them. They saw them as a meal ticket, and so they saw these $1 million, whatever, $100,000 contracts for these movies, and they're like, oh man.
I hear you. I hear you. Everything you're saying is correct. That wasn't my point. My point is that yes, you're right. Yeah, you're right. These parents probably saw dollar signs and was like, hell yeah, I can exploit the shit out of this, YOLO. But that does not give a pass for personal responsibility on all parts. Okay. To some degree, they all knew. To some degree.
Yeah.
Okay. They all knew that, that this is a very corrupt, very shallow world there, that's all about money and it's all about exploitation. It's all about all of those things. They at at least a high level. They all knew that. Okay. Now no one's really going to know how deep that rabbit hole goes until you're actually steeped in it. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And that's fair.
Yeah.
No problem there. But that can exist And you can also, not go on 4 and 5 day Coke binges. You can still take personal responsibility.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you can be in whatever situation you can, you find yourself in. But what are you going to do? Are you going to be a devil's advocate? Or are you not going to be, you understand where I'm going with this?
No, I absolutely understand where you're going with it. I think it's, and look, there's been a lot of kids over the years that have made, have stayed on track, and they've been responsible and have great careers, but not everyone's like that. And it's hard, man, because once you know what it's like, how deep are you into this thing? And then if you have a drug problem and you don't have, say, parents, their parents are out spending all your money and they're not showing you any sort of stability. You're doing this on your own as a 14, 16, 17-year-old. Dude, that's tough. I am not justifying what happened.
No, I get it. And that's why I'm saying personal responsibility. And I don't just mean the Coreys. I mean the parents.
I agree.
I mean the whole damn gamut. I mean those producers.
Yes.
I mean, it's everybody involved. It has to take personal responsibility, but that's the problem.
And and I agree, man. And we've talked about this before. You're going to see more of the kids or teenagers in the 80s were the ones that had down the road had the issues where they OD'd, the River Phoenixes of the world. I can't remember the actress from Can't Buy Me Love, but dude, she went through some shit. I mean, hell, you hear about it all the time. And again, was it the result of the 80s? Because the 80s was the
decade of excess.
And it's so as, and maybe over time, that excess, of course, went away and people got smarter. The Hollywood execs or whoever, the agents or the parents saw these other things happening to these kids and were like, hey, this isn't going to happen to you. And they're more grounded and they're more stable. Dude, this, man. Stability is everything. And if you don't have that as a teenager, you're fucked, dude.
Yep.
And it does not surprise me they went down these roads.
Well, and I mean, it would make a lot of sense, that as each decade passes, a generation learns from the previous generation and et cetera, and so on and so on, to a degree.
Yeah.
So, child actors who, came around in the next generation, maybe their parents, look back on these Coreys, and we're like, and then of course also Hollywood is going to adjust a little bit too.
Yeah.
Because, these days everybody is sue happy.
Oh God. Yeah.
So I think Hollywood didn't have a choice but to
adapt.
Oh, they had to.
Yeah, they have to.
Man. I mean, they get sued into oblivion.
Yeah.
These days.
Yeah. I know we went on a little bit of a, it's just, it sucks, man. It's just, like I was saying, I felt Corey Haim had a, goddamn, like the River Phoenix too, man. God, I think there was River Phoenix. You could easily see this kid was going to be something.
Yeah.
And then him ODing, I think that was at the Viper Room, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Yep. And Corey Haim, look, Corey Haim went through his stuff, man. He battled drugs, and then I don't know if he ever got sober, and then he would kind of revert back, and then I think that's eventually, I don't know if that's eventually what killed him. I don't know if it was maybe he died from something else, which was a result of what he was doing back then. I don't recall.
Yeah.
It's just a shame, man. It's just a shame. And it's just,
River Phoenix will always be little Indiana Jones to me.
Right.
Yep. Always and forever.
For me,
I know he did other stuff. I know that.
Yeah.
But to me, that was it. I'll always look on him.
That's the one movie that resonates with you.
Yeah.
With me, it was Stand By Me. He was great in that, man.
Yeah.
He was great in that. That would be me. But I know, other people probably have their own. But yeah, man. I mean, So, anyways, dude, was there anything else like we really? I mean, we know the Max, the main vampire. We find that out the very end, and there's. whatever, man. He gets it through a stake by Grandpa and his
fence stake.
Yeah, his fence stake. And every time he was coming, you could hear him. He'd hit his horn, and it would whatever that horn noise was. Yeah, whatever it was. And so now the idea that him coming through his house and the stake hitting just him. Yeah. I mean, of course it's a movie and it's convenient, but
yeah, I mean, I think that you just have to sort of suspend a little bit of belief there and just kind of just roll with it.
Especially with horror movies, we always do, man. You got to suspend the belief.
You do. You
know, I'm trying to think. There was something else I wanted to talk about, but I don't remember now. I mean, as a whole, look, man, this is still a good movie. It's again very big budget, kind of feels that, like I said, the very big budgety, look, solid acting, music's great. The feel of the movie is cool. It definitely is a movie. Okay, it holds up, man. I mean, it has its place. Like if you were to probably talk with, your horror fans and they were going to list the top 5 vampire movies, Lost Boys, I'm sure would probably be in there,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it does hold up, man. It's a good movie, and it really kind of catapulted some of the careers of some people. Kiefer Sutherland at the time wasn't doing I think he did some stuff, but not a ton. And
there's just I don't know, there's a fun aspect to this movie that it does, it's not dark and foreboding, and like it's just a fun.
It is a fun. It's fun. It's like it's not so super. It's not on the campy side.
No,
but it's not like it's got enough of some comedy going in on there, and it can be a little dark at times, but it's not too cheesy or campy. It's just good enough.
Yeah, generally speaking, it's just fairly light.
Yeah.
It has like a moment here and there of but even those moments are not that dark.
No, they're really not. I think the darkest, like you said, was the beach scene when they were attacking those guys around the bonfire. And even that wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Especially not compared to some of the stuff we've seen. And not to mention, I mean, any movie that is going to do a cover of People Are Strange by the Doors, you know me, I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah. 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 The soundtrack on this movie is really damn good.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, but yeah, man, I think, I don't know, dude, is there anything?
Hit on everything, man.
I'm just trying to think, was there anything? I think we did, man, Yeah. I mean, I think maybe some of the listeners are going to go, we really didn't talk a lot about the movie, but you know what? It's okay.
I don't know, man. Didn't we?
I think we did.
We didn't go scene by scene, but we haven't gone scene by scene on movies in a long damn time.
Well, the thing is with certain movies, I think most horror fans have probably seen The Lost Boys. So
they better have. I mean, if they're
horror fans, if
they're listening to a podcast about horror movies, I think
that is true.
Yeah,
that is true. Yeah. And if you hadn't, shame on you. No, I'm just kidding.
Spoilers.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think most people are. And so that's why, certain episodes like this, we want to try to bring something different to it that maybe, I don't know, maybe they haven't heard before, just a different take or sometimes we just like to hear ourselves rant.
Yeah. I think that's half the fun.
It is half the fun, man. That's what we old folks do, right?
Yep. Get off my lawn.
So anyways, I think that's it, man. Nothing else that's coming to mind that I wanted to talk about that we haven't talked about. So Cool. All right, man. Well, I guess that'll do it for us. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening. We hope everyone's being safe out there. And hey, man, the vaccine is
it's on the way.
The vaccine is, man.
Yeah. I hope we get back to some semblance of normal. Although I don't see how we ever truly get back to where we were.
I don't know if we ever do, but I think once these vaccines are starting to hit the people that, of course, are going to take them, or, I think you're going to see it subside a bit, but I don't know, man. I don't know if it's ever going to be back to normal.
I just know that like when we get, to the point where the, majority of the population have been vaccinated or whatever, and we've reached that quote unquote herd immunity thing and restrictions are lifted, I'm going to still feel weird about not wearing a mask, man. It's ingrained. So ingrained now in that. And that is weirding me out.
It is.
Rick, that whole thought of shit, going into like a grocery store, no, get away from me.
Yeah,
I don't.
yes.
Like, you maintain 6 feet. Yeah.
I feel weird. Like any place I go, dude, I have like 10 masks in my car, and I rotate colors just because I like to match.
Yeah,
that's how I roll.
Sure.
I as soon as I stop, I grab the mask and I go into a place. And now, say in a couple months from now, if I would feel weird. It would almost feel like I'm naked, like I'm missing something.
The vampires would be pissed during this time. I gotta wear a mask. I'm not gonna bite you.
Yeah, true. But yeah, dude, yeah. So, anyways, well, yeah. I mean, I hope everyone's safe out there, man. You know, like I said, I feel that we're like getting closer to something where I feel like it's a little bit normal and not as, I don't know, dire,
Yeah.
I mean, because it was bleak there for a while, right? I mean, Jesus, a year of bleakness just sucks, man. And
let's
so
hope that what they're saying possibly could happen, another surge.
Hopefully that does not.
Let's hope that, this summer, let's hope that doesn't happen, man.
I hope not either.
Yeah.
But anyways, everyone, hey, again, thanks for tuning in and listening to us ramble. Everyone, take care out there, and I don't know. Hope you come back and give us a listen.
Peace out.
Peace. Thanks again for listening. Make sure you tell everyone about our Ear for Fear podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Ear for Fear. You can also check out our website, earforfear.com. There you can keep up to date on news, events, and episodes. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you come back and get an earful.